I'm back. I'm back in the United States. I was in Germany. That's why you didn't see me last week. That's why I wasn't here for the post-match show for last week's show. I wasn't here. I was gone. I was in Germany. I was 7 hours ahead. I wasn't going to come on the show. It was the middle of the night. But I'm back. This is USfanTV. It is a Thursday night edition of USfanTV because we didn't do a show Tuesday night. Pretty much, we all had stuff going on. And Chris isn't here, but he's going to show up at some point. We assume it's probably a technological issue, as you guys would know. But TJ's here, and the reason why TJ wasn't here Tuesday night is because he had a baby. Congratulations, TJ.
Thanks. The baby actually was Wednesday, but Tuesday night was getting every I dotted, T crossed, so on and so forth. Baby was born about just before 2 o'clock Wednesday afternoon. And then in post-op, I got to watch a little bit of Guernsey. It was fun as hell.
And your child is a day old.
Yes.
And yet you're still doing this show.
Yes. Because somebody has to watch the other two kids, and the other two kids are in bed, so here I am.
There we go. All right. Well, congratulations. Glad to hear everything's going all right with that.
Thank you.
My trip was, and we talked about this off air. It was great. Not only is Germany a fantastic and fun country to visit, we were in both Berlin and Munich, but I was in Berlin when Die Mannschaft was playing against the Seleção from Brazil. And while it did not go Germany's way, it was great. Like the atmosphere was great before the game, and just being in a historic stadium like that, and seeing, the two best teams historically in the world since we've been doing this, playing was a very cool thing. But what I think made it the best was I wasn't on Twitter or any kind of social media. I think I put an Instagram photo up, but I wasn't on anything. I wasn't reading people's angry takes. It was just refreshing. It was just the sport, and the sport was great, and the atmosphere was great, and it was fun. And, it's a experience I'll never forget. And it was, just absolutely, those German crowds on TV have always amazed me. They're even better in person, even though it did kind of die out when, it was getting in the second half and they hadn't scored, and the crowd was getting a little restless. Just, we have in our American Outlaws section, we'll have, fans chanting and cheering and doing their thing. Like the whole stadium does it there. So, look who's here.
I managed to show up for you guys after a few minutes.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome.
He's Chris.
That would be me.
I was just telling people that I went to Germany and it was fun. And we've also congratulated TJ on the birth of his daughter.
Indeed, yes. Mary Grace.
That's correct.
Was I supposed to say that, or was I supposed to keep it quiet? So
it doesn't. No, it's irrelevant. It's on Twitter. It's on Facebook, and not a big deal. So no, not a problem at
all. We have things we can talk about.
Indeed, a number of things.
We should probably start with the thing that happened tonight. Recency, as it's called in the news business. The U.S. women beat Mexico 4-1. It was a beatdown like you would kind of expect, because while it seems the Mexican people are caring more about soccer, women's soccer these days, the Mexican Federation doesn't give a shit about its women's team. And obviously it's a big deal here. So,
in fact, it was an all-American scoring tally because Katie Johnson, who plays for Mexico and scored for Mexico, is from California. So technically, it was 4 Americans who scored the 5 goals.
There you go. Mallory Pugh, Alex Morgan had 2, including a penalty and a really nice left footer. And then Carly Lloyd did what Carly Lloyd does. So good for them. But while I view Mexico as a very, very big deal on the men's side, I don't view them as a important opponent on the women's side, except for the fact that it's still kind of a rivalry. So good for the women to win. But I think their victory in the She Believes Cup against those teams is a little more important than this one.
Absolutely. And speaking of She Believes Cup 2, Electric Boogaloo. The Tournament of Nations, they just announced the teams the U.S. will be playing. We're playing Australia, Brazil, and Japan in July and August. Their attempt at, I don't know, Fox's attempt at continuing World Cup coverage or something, I guess, for the summer.
Speaking of Fox, people on Twitter were angry today at Fox.
Yes, wait. Can I just interrupt and say, when is Twitter not angry?
Okay, first of all, I do have to admit, having Alexi Lalas in that promo where he becomes a Russian nesting doll, which is very strange, saying we're all about El Tree, does kind of hurt a little bit, but I get it. But then today they trotted out this thing where they're partnering with 23andMe. They're one of the you can find out your ancestry things that you spit into the cup. I did the ancestry.com one and it told me what I thought I was. But they're partnering with them as a sort of a sponsorship deal on the front end. And then the idea being that if you don't already know where your people came from before they came to the United States, you can find out, and maybe you can find a rooting interest in the World Cup. I feel like most people already kind of have a rooting interest. If you're a soccer fan, you probably have a team or two that you like, or maybe a team that you don't like and you want to root against. But I think this is all figured out. But people were angry. People were angry at Fox. How dare you do this? This makes us look inferior. This makes us look stupid. Who cares? It's just Fox trying to recoup some of their money and drum up some interest in the World Cup. They know we're going to be there. They're trying to get the masses interested in the World Cup. So I don't see why people are getting angry.
I mean, I guess I don't understand being angry, but things that we're to think that something here made us look stupid. No, not making the World Cup made us look stupid. Yeah. We took care of looking stupid months ago. We got that one out of the way.
Well, and I gotta, Chris, you and angry kind of are synonymous. So for you to sit there and say I don't get being angry, that's a little bit weird to me. I got to say, though, Pat, you're right on this one. It's, who cares? Fox is going to lose a shit ton of money. They need to recoup it. However they choose to do it, if they can find someone to sponsor in, bonus for them. And if it gets 5 people to do it, to sign up for 23andMe or Ancestry.com and find a rooting interest, good for them. I agree. I saw the level of anger, and I'm like, this is the hill you chose to die on today? You might need to delete your account. But that could also be said for about half of Twitter, really.
It is Twitter.
But yeah, I mean, I guess that's why I'm Irish, German, and apparently after taking the test, I had no idea. I'm a little bit Swedish. So I guess that's why I'm cheering for Germany, and that and the fact that I just went there and I enjoy watching that national team destroy other teams.
Is that how you're going
to
end up pulling for the Zlatan? Should he choose to play?
Should the Zlatan play? And I think that's his decision, because after all, it is the Zlatan. Yeah. That will make this World Cup quite a bit more interesting, I think. But I like I was telling TJ before you got here, like I'm interested anyway. Like being at that game in Berlin was like reaffirmed that this sport is awesome, and I don't need our national team to be in the World Cup to enjoy it. It would be nice, but I don't need it. So yeah, I'm excited either way, and pick a rooting interest however you want. For you, it's probably you hate everyone and everything, so you find the thing you hate the least.
I don't hate everyone. I don't hate everything.
You've wished death upon people who have died multiple times.
Maybe they deserved it, though. It's only been twice.
Did
maybe
Kirby Puckett really deserve it?
There were some. If you're one of the women, probably. If you're one of the women, probably.
True. I was very displeased by the results of the 1987 baseball season.
You wish death upon a little person.
Wait, no, 87. That would have been 91, right? Would have been 91, I think. Yeah. Well, whatever.
So Pat, let me throw you guys to this question then. So we're talking about ancestry and picking our teams for the World Cup. So literally, we can trace my family lineage On my dad's side, back to Poland. My mom's side, back to Germany, like completely. So I'm 50% each. So do I attack myself right away or do I surrender right away? Which one is it here? And which one do I support? Because they're both in the World Cup, unlike the United States.
I think you go with both.
Yeah.
I think you go with both until one of them gets knocked out. That's what I would do. I mean, it's not like they're not in the same group, right? They wouldn't be. So. Yeah.
True. And Lewandowski, yeah. Not a bad guy to be cheering for.
No.
Brendel asks, how will Fox and sponsors lose money with the U.S. not in the World Cup? Because there's a huge U.S. presence, viewership presence, based on largely the push to get people to watch U.S. national team games. Now, it does center around the fact that it's sort of like the Olympics. We're good short-term nationalistic fans. Right. In this country.
There's a lot more people who watch this thing who aren't us, who are talking about it now. Like, it's like I said this in like November, but there's a lot of people who are going to come online next month and go, holy shit, we're not in this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's coming. It's just, and you're exactly right. It's the Olympics. I don't care about Michael Phelps until like the day the Summer Olympics start every 4 years. Yeah. That's how a lot of people are for the men's national.
Well, yes, the U.S. has a vast population of people from all over the world who support their individual teams and will watch this regardless. There's a huge faction that all these TV companies are looking into or expecting to show up, who come from the U.S. Or are there to support the U.S. I should say, not come from the U.S., but are there to watch the U.S. And, they show up every 4 years. And those people just aren't going to be there this time. Or they might show up for the first game and, realize that we're not in it and go, oh, well, I'm out.
I mean, if you don't know how the whole thing works, Fox a long time ago won the bidding rights for this World Cup, which means they had to pay FIFA a lot of money, with the idea that then when this summer rolls around, they would be able to sell commercials during the World Cup for even more money. But if sponsors go, I don't think as many people are going to be watching as, would be if the men's national team were there, those commercials become less valuable. So, but you know what? Like a lot of that stuff, like we would only play 3 or 4 games anyway, and there's a lot more games to sell. So it should not be that catastrophic for them. And the fact that they are marketing themselves as Mexico's English language station is, while it makes me kind of cringe, it's absolutely the right
thing. It's the best business choice.
Yeah. And let's face it, I've said this before too. The Mexican national soccer team in this country, I think, is the only team that could pretty much sell out any stadium it plays in across the country. Like, I don't think the Yankees could. I don't, any game, I don't think, maybe the Cowboys, but we think of the big sort of American teams, even our own national team can't do it. They can't, because they come out to see their team. Because, if you're a person of Mexican descent and you're here, you came here to better your life and make some more money. And so now you've got disposable income and you can go see the team you love. And it's the team that, you remember from your childhood as being a part of. It's your connection to your home country, even if you can't go back all the time. So they are, without a doubt, the most popular soccer team in this country and one of the most popular teams, period. And I don't think a lot of people realize that who aren't fans of this sport. But
and let's caveat. I mean, while you're gone, Chris and I think that's why we actually had people watching, is it was after a national team game. But while that was going on,
does help a little bit.
While that was going on, Mexico was in the process of playing it at Jerry's World, and the United States drew a sellout crowd, a dynamite sellout crowd of 9,000 in Cary, North Carolina. Mexico was busy. No, they didn't sell out the place, but they had 84,000 at Jerry's World.
It's amazing.
For a friendly, and you're right on it. You got to market to where you might be able to draw fans, and if you can pull some of them into English speaking that may watch on Univision, that's your only saving grace. Those you have to, whether you like it or not.
And we're all going to watch Mexico. I mean, that's for me one of the most important teams to watch is Mexico. I'm not going to be rooting for them, but
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure Chris will have a voodoo doll and be wishing death on them. But yes,
Yeah. No,
I'm just not going to comment there. Cisco, people will be watching it just because of the level of talent. Oh, we'll all be watching because of the level of talent. But you're like average, the people who show up every 4 years. Like, I don't know, go hang out with a group of AO supporters, and you'll notice anytime there's a big game, suddenly the group is like 3 or 4 or 5 times larger because there are people who just show up for that. And that's even amongst like American Outlaws or some like a fan group. Now focus that on or extrapolate that whatever to an event that draws in just random people off the street, and you see the complete difference.
Compare the crowds of the watch parties that we had in Chicago in 2014, which were like 40 or 50,000 people gathering in the park to watch the game. Compare that to a fire crowd. Like the I want to support the USA in a big deal people are a lot more in number than just the fans of the sport. That's where we're at in this country right now. So,
well, and let's face it, that's partially because it's the World Cup. It's an event. We are, especially in the United States, we are an event-driven culture.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter if it's a big deal, and
it's more about the spectacle than
exactly. Why do people? What's the biggest part? The biggest event every year? It's the Super Bowl, specifically the halftime show, because that's the biggest spectacle of it all, or the commercials. Gives a shit about the game. They care about.
You go to the Super Bowl, you go to the Final Four. Most of the fans there aren't people for those teams. They're just people who went to the event.
Chris went to the Final Four when the Illini were in it.
I was, and I absolutely rooted against them.
I didn't, and I went to that school. So there's your.
I lived in Champaign. Yeah, Messi and Ronaldo will certainly draw. Somebody asked, will we talk about Ronaldo's goal? Normally I wouldn't, but since
okay, yes, we need to.
What the hell? Yeah, that was amazing.
The ball it wasn't just a bicycle kick. The ball was coming across.
Yeah.
He had to time that thing like we've seen plenty of them where the ball gets flipped up and the guy does a bicycle kick, but the ball was coming across.
Yeah.
He had to one-time it.
It's hard enough to hit a volley coming across like that. Now you got to flip yourself upside down and do it too, and hit it as hard as he did, and place it in the corner the way he did. Like everything about that was amazing.
Well, and Pat, thankfully he one-timed it. If he two-timed it, he probably kicks it straight in the ground, falls on his head, and is hurt. So thankfully it was a one-time, Pat. Yeah. Thankfully.
But yeah, it was actually the only thing that could beat Zlatan's goal from the weekend, which I wasn't able to watch. I had too much stuff going on. I wasn't able to see Bayern crush Dortmund, although I watched it later. And I was not able to see the Zlatan El Tráfico ridiculous comeback debut with the 40-yard volley. But that thing was also insane.
Again, amazing, yeah.
Well, it's Zlatan. He decides he wants to do it, and he's going to do it. And that's just how life works in the world of Zlatan.
You know, for the people who get mad at and call MLS a retirement league, and I sort of understand the point for guys like Steven Gerrard who come here and Pirlo who come here don't do anything. Just for us to be able to see a guy like Zlatan in person here is I still like the fact that you have big names who come here at the end of their careers. I still like that aspect of it. I don't think it should be the only aspect or the biggest aspect of MLS, but I like that being a part of it still. And yeah, for reasons like that, because Zlatan's Zlatan.
Well, and he's 36. Okay, he's older. He's a striker. He's never been the fastest guy in the world. He's going to do what Zlatan does. And last I checked, before he blew his ACL, he was pretty effective for Manchester United. It's not like he was a waste of space for him, which you could argue Pogba has become for him. But Zlatan was still doing Zlatan things with Manchester United. It's not like he became a shadow of himself like Steven Gerrard. So to say it's a retirement league, that'd be, can he go all out the entire game? No. That was kind of like when Thierry Henry came over. They became more selective when they picked their spots, but they're still effective players in those spurts that they are. That's part of becoming a veteran. That's like saying, as I always do, I like to cross over to other sports. Jordan, early in his career, would drive the basket and destroy you every time. And then after he took his baseball hiatus, he came back and he started He figured out how to make a 20-foot jumper or 17, 18-foot jumper repeatedly. He picked his spots when he drive the hole and dunk on you. But he was still effective in other spots. So, no. Is this a retirement league thing? Especially with Zlatan? No, it really isn't, because what was the rumor? He was offered $100 million to go to China.
Yeah.
It was all about retirement and making money. He would have taken that and ran. He didn't. He took not a non-designated player salary to play in LA. Why? And then, and this was the other part of Twitter butthurt that only places that have a chance are LA and New York. Correct, because they are fucking LA and fucking New York. And if you are a celebrity, that is where you go. I love living in the Chicagoland area. Guess what? Most stars don't want to come to Chicago. They want to go to LA and they want to go to New York. And anybody who's been to LA, last I checked, the weather is there.
It's perfect.
Phenomenal every damn day.
It is a city I'm not a fan of, though.
What's that, Chris?
It is a city I'm not a fan of, though.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's not a fan of you either. I was just
bringing it up because you guys are saying I hate everything. So I was just kind of going with it. But somebody, what was it? Did somebody say Buffon was out of position on the Ronaldo goal? All in all, I gotta say that goal was put low into the corner. Like, it was pretty perfectly placed, especially for being a bicycle kick. Like, for having to kick over your own head, to do a flip and everything, and then to put the ball in the corner. Like,
and it was a one-timer.
That was impressive stuff. I won't fault a goalie for getting beat on that, I think, regardless. But on top of it, there aren't a lot of people who will let you criticize Buffon. I'm not one of them, but there aren't a lot of people who would let that happen.
Should we talk about Dortmund real quick? Sandra just mentioned the shit 6-0 game.
Yeah, that was ugly.
I mean, Bayern's really, 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 really ridiculously good, but there is no way Dortmund should be that far off of them.
Yeah,
that's a train wreck going on right there with that team right now, and as it relates to us, I had said many, many times on this show, and you had too, Chris, that Christian Pulisic should stay there because it's a great spot. I don't know now. Like, I don't know if that's if they're going to continue in this downward spiral and they can't get it fixed, Arsenal style. I don't know if that's the best spot for him anymore. So maybe it is time after this summer for him to make a jump somewhere. I don't know where, but that team where the big toothed, smiling former Dortmund coaches in the north of England might be a good spot. I won't say the name because it'll make Chris angry, but
well, if it's going to make Chris angry, it's Liverpool. Chris, it's Liverpool. Please get angry. More fun that way.
Well, Klopp is so amazing, and that Liverpool, they're so much fun. Like, forget the shirts, Chris, and the logo, and the Scousers in the stands. That team is fun,
and the people there,
and the people smashing the buses. That team is fun to watch.
They are very talented.
They made the Ox somewhat effective.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say he's fully effective. He had a nice goal the other day, but Klopp's teams are really fun to watch. So
I'm reading through this. Sandra saying if Tuchel is moving to Arsenal, then Pulisic should follow. Except that everything I'm hearing is
Tuchel's going to PSG, isn't he?
Correct. That's what I was just.
Yeah, that's the word.
Because Arsene doesn't want to leave.
No, and
Arsene gets to make that decision for some reason.
Yeah, he's old as fuck. They just need to send him on. They need to put him on landscaping duty or whatever they call it.
He's like 4 years younger than Yupp at Bayern, and he's nobody says that about him because it's just that Arsene's stubborn and
sucks,
ineffective.
20 years past his prime,
but they're going to win the Europa League.
They might.
Hey, but it'll keep them in the champion. Put them back in the Champions League.
They always do something like this. But I want them to win the Europa League. I do, but
let me, because you guys are both Arsenal apologists. I feel compelled to ask this question.
Apologists.
Okay, you're committed Arsenal fans, which is pretty fucking stupid. So you win a trophy almost every year, though. It's not one of the two big ones. It's not the Champions League or the Premier League.
Okay. I don't know.
But would you? How many teams would trade spots with Arsenal, though?
A lot of them would. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. We were sold. The Emirates Stadium move was supposed to take us from what we were at the time, one of the best teams in Europe. We were in a Champions League final. We had Thierry Henry. It was supposed to take us. We were specifically, Bayern was mentioned. We were going to become Bayern. That's what they said. And instead, it's backwards and backwards and backwards. And we start settling for, it's another FA Cup. Well, FA Cup's fun. Or, we're winning the Europa League. Well, the only reason we're in the Europa League is because we didn't qualify for the Champions League. Like, I don't want to keep.
We didn't even qualify to go 10-2.
So, well,
yeah.
Well, again, now would you rather be Arsenal having a chance to win the Europa League, or would you rather be PSG? The second you hit the knockout stage, you know you're going out before you hit the semifinals. But how many coaches have PSG burned through now?
I think I'd rather be Arsenal.
For the simple fact that they can't win the Champions League. They win everything in France. But France has Pro Rel. Shit up.
Look at what you've done. What did you do, TJ? What did you do?
I would say the lack of competition in France, and Monaco was a good team up until
they sold all their parts again.
The lack of competition probably hurts them when they get to the big boys in the Champions League. The Bundesliga doesn't have a whole lot of competition this year, and it doesn't seem to hurt Bayern. So Bundesliga is still a lot better than the French league.
All right, let's find something happy to talk about. Bruce has a book.
Oh, shit. First of all, did anybody have any clue that Bruce was writing a book? Like, usually you hear about things, but all of a sudden Bruce has a book, and he says that the U.S. Soccer was going to fire Klinsmann a long time before they actually did, but Dan Flynn had a heart attack or something. And so
he had to have heart transplant surgery, and it basically interrupted the final negotiations because they'd been trying to negotiate the deal without Arena's agent. He wanted his agent involved, and before they could get him involved, then Dan Flynn got the call that his heart was ready.
So they kept Jurgen, and Jurgen had the quality run in the Copa America, and then after the first two games,
and then went.
Hector, yes, we're going to talk about Concacaf Championship in a moment.
Let's
a few times.
Hold on. Let me ask the question to both of you then. Let's say Dan Flynn doesn't have a heart attack, doesn't lose his wiener or whatever, isn't dead or whatever the case may be. Do they qualify with Bruce Arena if Bruce had Copa America and all that to build into the qualifiers? Would they have completely shit the bed against Mexico and Costa Rica?
It's hard for me to say that anything would have been better, considering nothing really got better with Bruce in for the
it was
final 2/3 of that the hex, 3/4, I guess you'd say. I look at it more and say, what would the Copa excuse me, what would the Copa America run have been like if they didn't have a bunch of jewelry? What would the Copa America run have looked like if Bruce had been there? Would he have selected the same players? Would things have turned out the same way? So much of like that Paraguay game, you can put on Herr Brooks. Jonathan Brooks had that amazing game. If he's still playing there with Bruce, and you would think he would, he probably still stands on his head, and we come out of that game 1-0 the same way. But would some of the other games have gone the same way? That's, to me, where the questions come in. Because maybe Bruce would have set us up better. We wouldn't have gone with a completely new lineup just before, say, the Mexico game. But this battle of what ifs, I don't know that Bruce makes any difference in that final round, considering we had him for most of that final round, and he didn't do a damn thing for us.
I mean, we were a ball bounce away from making the World Cup. So I mean, if you roll the dice a bunch of times, we probably would make it most of the time. But no, I think it largely would have been the same. Even if we did make it, it still would have been by the skin of our teeth in a poor performance.
Chris, I agree with the concept of, well, we can keep throwing this around and whatever, but you know what? Really don't have any damn thing to do for another year or two, so we might as well ask the question.
Well, speaking of things to do in a year, and speaking of Copa America, U.S. Soccer has apparently confirmed to SI that we have been invited to the 2019 Copa America in Brazil. They haven't said whether or not a decision has been made.
What's the decision?
Yeah, I know.
You go.
I assume the decision is based on like the fact that they don't have a GM in place, that nothing's happening. Although ESPN has confirmed. Yeah. That should have been just an automatic. Maybe it's just one of those, they can't admit that they've accepted it yet because the ink's not dry and the people aren't in place to sign it.
Maybe.
But yeah, it would be foolish to not accept it, especially right now. But ESPN's reporting that Ernie Stewart and Ali Curtis have both been interviewed for the men's GM spot.
Well, if those are both valid, those aren't bad candidates, considering that nobody seems to want the job. If you can pull an Ernie Stewart or an Ali Curtis out, you're not doing that bad. Now the question is, so two front office or former front office MLS guys, Ernie Stewart with quite a history with the U.S. and a bit of a developmental history with some players who are now with the U.S. or could now be with the U.S. And didn't Ali Curtis, didn't he put like the blueprint in place that Red Bull is following right now?
I think that's right. I know he would have been there at the time, so he would at least have to have been involved in it.
Leipzig's a Red Bull apologist. Leipzig, what do you know on that one? I know he's floating around there. So
Christian says not Ali Curtis. Do you want to send a B team to get smashed in Brazil because of the Gold Cup? No, I say screw the Gold Cup.
Right off
Who gives a shit about it?
Yes.
We unlike was it 2007? It was that Bob Bradley team where we took like the B team to the last time we were in the Copa America in South America, and we just got destroyed because we were focused on we got to win the Gold Cup. Who cares about the Gold Cup? Especially if it's not yet going to be a one-off. As long as it's going to be so long as it continues to be an every 2-year thing, don't write it off. Just move on.
Well, I guess my first question is, would Dave Sarachan coach one of the two teams? It just seems like he's gonna get one anyway. If you're asking me, here's what you do. You don't write off the Gold Cup. You send what would be your best team now. However, that said, the team that we saw last week, that's the team you send to the Gold Cup.
I see what you're saying. Oh, yeah, no.
You send your best now to the Gold Cup. You send your Michael Bradley, your Josie Altidore.
Bradley and Josie,
and Pulisic. I mean, you'd send Pulisic to the Gold Cup. You send the guys that can win the Gold Cup now. Why?
No, I'd send Pulisic to Copa America.
No, I would. Whatever.
Let him go play in the real games.
But I would take that same squad that we saw last week and send them to Copa and let them see what they can do.
I like that. That's a good idea.
They might get an education. But hey, that's what you're looking for.
Who's just saying that you have to send the A team to the Gold Cup, Giovanni? Look, there's nothing that says that still couldn't be an A team. We don't know who the hell our first team is.
It's April of 2018, and we're 4 years away from the next World Cup. We shouldn't know yet who the A team and B team are. Like, it's not supposed, like, it takes time. So
SI also said today, I don't remember, that the U.S. Soccer confirmed there is talk of a 2020 special Copa again, perhaps happening, like in the U.S.
And
another one of these giant.
And by special Copa, you mean they make a shit ton more money, so they're going to do it.
Oh, yeah.
Probably. I'm guessing once every 8 years, you're going to see a special Gold Cup because they make a shit or Copa because they make a shit ton of money.
Centenario.
Yeah. You know what? I loved it. I don't care, especially so long as things like FIFA keep jerking around what the rules are for how you how a bid can actually be voted upon for World Cup, which could benefit the U.S. in the latest round, or it could just open it up to more bribes. I don't trust anything about this. So, hey, here's a way that we can have world-class soccer played, perhaps in the U.S., or at least involving the U.S. in an accessible location.
Well, and this, and you're
take some of the weight off not winning World Cups, or I mean, not winning the to host World Cups, I should say.
Well, and that was kind of going to be where I was going to roll with this kind of segue into it is with this whole thing with Morocco, and Morocco is going to apparently win the World Cup because FIFA likes a good construction project. But how do any country in South America in CONMEBOL vote against the United States when they just pillaged? For how much money did they take out of there? Do they think they're going to get less? They think they're going to get equal amounts by going to...
The danger right now, I think, is that too many of them are still afraid of an investigation. Like, I think that's the true, genuine risk of a World Cup vote right now is CONMEBOL I don't think can be counted on because too many of them are... Too many of the FA leaders are still afraid of perhaps getting indicted or somehow being named in an investigation in the U.S. You may run the risk in parts of Asia too, and Africa seems to solidly be behind Morocco. France says they're going to Morocco.
Dominica and what was the Saint
Lucia.
St. Lucia, correct. And you keep hearing, is it anti-Trump? No. Is it FIFA likes a good construction project? No. Is it the Loretta Lynch investigations? No. Is it all three of them put together? Yes.
Sure.
If you eliminate one...
It all becomes convenient excuses, yeah.
If you eliminate one or two of those, I don't think... But there's... You add it up, and now you're looking at kind of the perfect storm in that sense. So, get your tickets for Morocco. I honestly think this one's over with, but that's the pessimist.
I don't know. I mean, like the latest things from FIFA says, you have to. It's that new infrastructure deal, and I've forgotten the details of it already. But I mean, to read it straight up, it sounds like it's rigged against Morocco. That it's basically rigged to hand this back to the U.S. But we also know FIFA only really did this whole thing, so like kind of rigged the bidding process so Morocco could even join at the last minute and still have time to like get a bid in 6 months later. So I say it's all down to they want to find a new way to elicit bribes or to maybe that's not even to force bribes from bidders. And the way you do that, you keep changing the rules every time some more money comes in. So
it's like the LA Galaxy. You change the rules.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
it's like MLS playing for the LA Galaxy.
You can't solicit bribes if there's only one team in the running. And by the North American teams working together instead of against one another, you took that factor out. So Morocco gets a chance. And now, even if it's for show, you have a competition. And you have, I think the two Concacaf teams that said they would support Morocco, it was actually government ministers that said that, and not actually the federations. And I don't know if the government has a great amount of sway over the federation in those cases. Maybe they do. They're not supposed to, but maybe they do. So
well, but how big of one is France?
It's huge. And
how many countries does it pull with them?
That's the question. I mean, in theory, and this is kind of this is the crazy thing about FIFA. Tiny island nations have as much of a vote as France, as the United States, as China, as these major nations, but. Not that China's a huge soccer nation at this point, but maybe neither are we. But yeah, I think France is influential in that it may pull some other countries.
So listen up, Mauritius. You're not going with your French overlords anymore.
Actually know somebody from Mauritius. How random is that?
Huh.
Was that like a prince that you said they were sending money to?
Yeah. It didn't work out though. Like I thought it was so many, I was in Western Union so much and it just never worked out like we thought it would. But yeah. So
Christian, I don't think FIFA ever
TJ
hid their
is the
corruption,
Alex
much
Jones.
less anymore.
Who wrote that?
Well played, Hunter.
TJ is the Alex Jones.
TJ gets a tinfoil hat.
Wow. When you think of conspiracy theories, I thought it was the last one that went with the conspiracy theory.
The frogs are gay. Yeah, that guy's amazing. And so are you, TJ, to be fair. We haven't talked about Concacaf Champions League yet, and we probably should. Toronto defeated Club America, which pissed off Wet Herrera very much. And Chivas beat Red Bulls.
No, Chivas did not beat Red Bull.
In a very
Red Bulls got... Okay, I'm the referee that defends the referee. Defends the referee. I'm the referee that defends the referee, and I'm going to straight out say Red Bulls got Concacaf straight up, no lube.
Absolutely.
No Vaseline. Yeah.
So where they sit now?
That was some bad. God, that was so Chivas in Mexico. I mean that was beyond just Concacaf. Like that was straight up Chivas in Mexico.
Now, I agree that I keep seeing Tyler Adams was bad. Tyler Adams shit the bed. There is no two ways about it. The ref made sure Chivas won. I'm sorry, and I'm the first one to defend a referee. This referee had to be getting money, and I'm sorry. I don't know what the red card, which was brutal, or the handball in the penalty area, which was even worse. A fucking U8 ref can call that. Chris probably would. Chris would screw it up, but that's about it.
When you're like holding somebody's arm and you're just dragging him, and then you like yank on him. This isn't even like, I'm all for a little bit of like, grabbing and pulling, pushing and whatever. It's a contact sport. I'm fine with it. But when you're just like hanging on people, like some kind of mule that won't move or something, and then you just yank on them, and basically there's just no call. It's like, oh, well, maybe. Okay, I'll do something. Oh, well, now it's better to stop the game, so now I'll make a call. Like, everything about that was ridiculous.
All right, what are we predicting? Who's in the final?
I think Toronto.
Yeah, I do too.
Because Giovinco is going to steal a goal on the road and it's going to negate it, and that's Toronto's going to win. Are going to advance. Actually, I see Toronto getting 2 and advancing on road goals again. I somehow see something like that happening.
I kind of wonder whether Copa America will get similar reffing to Chivas.
Maybe.
And it'll end up 2-0 them at home, and that'll take care of it. Chivas and Red Bulls, I see Red Bulls winning at home. I'm not sure I see them winning 3-0 or 3-1. I think it's probably more like 2-1, and then I think Chivas moves on probably on road goals.
Well, everything I'm hearing, that Red Bull Arena is going to be full, but it's going to be of Chivas fans. This is everything. It sounds like it's going to happen. Where to the point where Red Bulls are actually saying, to buy a ticket, you have to buy a ticket to another Red Bulls game that no one cares.
You have to buy a Red Bulls jersey and wear it, and
I'm old enough to remember the Bears used to do that. If you wanted to buy a Packer game, tickets for the Packer game, you had to buy it for somebody like the Jets or something like that no one gave 2 shits about. So marketing wise, I get it, but yeah, it sounds like it's going to be wall to wall Chivas fans, and I don't know. I think it's going to be Toronto, and I think Chris, you're right. Probably going to be Chivas in the final.
I think that's it too. Props to the Toronto fans who actually show up and care about this, because there are markets, and Chicago is one of them, where people just wouldn't give a shit.
Well, and I want to say, look around. You hear people talking about the global game. the Europa League, nobody shows up for that, you know. And even Chivas last night wasn't full. I've watched some of these crowds for the Concacaf Champions League with Club America. Nobody shows up. Seattle draws about half what they usually do. I don't know if I fully understand it, because to me it's a team I'm never going to see. I'm curious to see that, but it seems like by and large people don't care. And I'm not and I'm going to even expand it. I was flipping through the other night and I saw was it down in South America, what's their big tournament? Sorry, I'm blanking on that one. The big club tournament. I don't
understand what you mean. Oh,
yeah, but anyway.
Yeah. Just
that was half. I mean,
we had an internet.
You talking about Libertadores?
Yes, Libertadores. Half full, a third full, and that's supposed to be the biggest. You know, really, which kind of comes, you know, always goes back to the one that pisses what I say when it pisses everybody off about why Pro-Rel doesn't work. People want matchups, and until you get to the knockout stages of the Champions League, you're half full.
But you know what though? Like, okay,
well,
we live on this continent.
Weeknight games are hard for people to attend really anywhere.
The real Champions League doesn't seem to have an issue, but that's the real Champions League. I mean, I care more about the Champions League.
They have other things going for them too. But,
yeah, but the real Champions League, you until you get to the knockout stages, that's not the case.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, you get to those opening round games, you think anybody's going to go, unless it's like Barcelona and Juventus or something like that, in the opening round, nobody cares. You think people, as good as Monaco was last year, you think people show up for Monaco? No.
The Copa del Rey game I went to in Barcelona a couple months ago wasn't full.
Which still baffles me that you have the opportunity to see the greatest player ever play the game in that stadium. I know it's large, but that stadium isn't full a lot. That's crazy to me. Go see Messi play.
Especially with, like, I stumbled into a tavern called La Masia that was like wall to wall. I hadn't even noticed what the name of the place was. And I was sitting around and I was like looking at all the Barcelona stuff all over the walls. And then I suddenly read the door and I was like, oh, I know what's going on here.
Well, and go see Barcelona anyway, because Luis Suarez might eat somebody. You never know what he could do. So he might actually pull out a gun and shoot somebody. That wouldn't rule it out for Suarez.
So many of that. Like, they're up there with Real. They're up there with PSG right now, where it's like so many guys on that team are players you want to be able to say you've seen in person. I mean, beyond the fact that, yes, you're there to watch Messi. Like, there's so many guys on that team that.
But it kind of, you know, but like I said, it comes down to it is soccer is getting to the same thing as everybody else. You've kind of you've priced out the everyday game fan, and so unless it's event driven, people don't care anymore because they can't afford it.
Yeah.
And then you see things like a half full Old Trafford, a 3/4 full Emirates, you know, because
I don't even think you see 3/4 full Emirates anymore.
Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, with the exception really of Bayern, you don't see them unless you have the matchup that's not full. So, all right, we need to find something to finish on a happy note, don't we?
I have nothing left on my list.
Ronaldo plays at Real. Sports fan, I don't know what that means.
I said Messi was the greatest player ever, and he was saying that no, Ronaldo is the greatest player ever.
Okay, I get it.
Okay.
And then Alex said Pele, and then everybody agreed that no, it's Freddie Adu. So
I was going to say, I was thinking, but Freddie Adu
unanimous.
Freddie Adu, I think he makes the A team for Las Vegas, but the Llamas continue to make appearances, by the way, over Freddie Adu. So now here's a question for you guys, because you guys follow Champions League probably closer than I have been able to. Do any of these second legs, are they going to matter at all? Can anybody overturn the deficit?
I mean, City maybe, if Liverpool, because you never know with Liverpool what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment. Otherwise,
Barcelona's not losing.
Yeah,
I don't think Juve can do it. and Bayern's not going to lose.
I would say, isn't Bayern the closest one, but they put their 2 goals on the road.
Right.
They get to go home with 2 road goals in their pocket. So
it's probably going to be the 3 gigantic teams and then Liverpool, which is fine because the matchup I said I want to see all along was Barcelona and Bayern in the final. I hope that it shakes out that way, but really you can't go wrong because, I mean, you have 3 really, really great teams, and then you have one of the most fun teams to watch in the world in Liverpool. So, but they might, you never know. They might win big. They might lose big. You just don't.
Mo Salah gets hurt and they just go. It's done.
My God, is he good? I said to Chris earlier this week, I don't think it'll be the case, but he may be the closest we've come to somebody knocking off the Messi and Ronaldo World Player of the Year run that we've seen in a while. He's ridiculous. I don't think it'll be close, but I don't think so.
One of the funniest things I saw on Twitter about Arsenal was Liverpool got the Egyptian Messi. We got, speaking of Mohamed El-Neni, we got Egyptian Coquelin.
Both played for Bob Bradley.
Did indeed.
When he was there. Yeah. So, if it weren't for Bob Bradley, maybe Mo Salah wouldn't be where he is now.
And if it weren't for Bob Bradley, Zlatan wouldn't have gone Zlatan.
That's also true.
I liked his comment that he felt winded the first time he ran, so he was like, "I'm not going to run the second time. I'm just going to shoot."
Yeah. The thing I love about the dude is he's in on his own joke. Like, he knows. Yeah. But he still says the stuff, and it's still it's hilarious. Yeah.
Did you hear when he showed up?
For Zlatan, so I gave them Zlatan.
He went around the locker room and asked everyone if they believed in God, and then he said, "I'm glad you all believe in me."
Okay, so anonymity is saying, who's going to be the American Freddie Adu? The Llamas. It's got to be the Llamas at this point. Oh, by the way, did you guys see this? See, we're going on random weird shit. Okay, so Toronto played Club America and apparently destroyed their field to the point that TFC 2 this weekend isn't going to play their home game in Toronto. They're going to play it at Pittsburgh, who is the visiting team. Pittsburgh gets the home game because Toronto wrecked the field against Club America. Herrera strikes again. If they had only been able to wear whatever underwear they were going to wear.
Robert reminds us that Mo Salah had a stint at Chelsea. Think about the amount of guys that Mourinho sold who are now absolutely incredible players elsewhere. Like, there's something up with that guy. I don't like Arsene Wenger, but I'd rather keep Arsene Wenger at Arsenal than have Jose Mourinho. Just ridiculous.
Okay, so can we, if that happens, and that's my anticipation, because it'd be the only funny thing left, Mourinho leaves Manchester United for Arsenal.
Oh.
Can we do a live show after that happens?
Ugh.
I couldn't do it. Like, I would just take some time away. I can't give up on my team, but you can take some time away mentally from them. As an Arsenal fan, I know this all too well. All right. We've done it, haven't we?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, wait, who gets to read the Sinclair manifesto? Chris, is that you?
Weird. You guys, Sinclair was a shitty company in television long before they got political. It's been known as, I never worked there, but it was known as the worst company to work for. I had drinks with a guy.
I think our former place of employment was probably.
Oh no.
What I know of people at both stations, I mean, I didn't know a lot of Sinclair stations, although, maybe that's also a Next Star station. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I had randomly drinks with a guy who was a Sinclair executive who would brag about how they would cultivate new talent and then fire them immediately so that their salaries wouldn't get high enough that they had to they didn't want anybody to be bigger than the company, and now they have to go on the air and read all that bullshit. So sorry for them.
Sorry, one more point. I'm reading. Alex is talking about that you could see him on TV at the Red Stars game. Alex, I was there for the first half. Everybody could be seen on TV. There were only 20 people left by halftime.
Lifetime? Were you on Lifetime?
I don't know. I think it was on Go 90. It was on Go 90. All I know is it got really damn cold. That to the point where Charlie, who will watch any soccer game I put in front of him, Dad, I'm cold. I want to go home.
Jeremy asks, can we win Copa America? I assume you mean next year. No.
We can't do that.
If we put together the right team, maybe we have a decent showing. But no, I don't believe we're going to win it.
I don't think we can win the Gold Cup.
Right now,
Copa America.
That might be a good question.
Hell, Copa America, everybody could pull their B team out and we'd still lose at the rate we're going. So,
at least though, there was some promise to be seen in that last game. So there are some things that could shape up for the future. Will it be shaped within a year? I'm not ready to believe that.
A lot of things can happen in a year. We went from being excited about our prospects coming out of the Copa America to complete dismal failure in a matter of months.
And one of the most epic shows of all time, watching the two of you melt down. It was epically awesome.
Yeah.
TJ,
I've still never watched that.
TJ, yes, it's the Midwest winter. It snowed today. It's fucking cold. Christian Press in Sweden. Who cares? All right. Did I miss anything?
No, I don't think so. Oh, will Dom Dwyer get another shot at the national team? I don't believe it. Maybe if, say, we were playing in the Copa America and the Gold Cup next summer, my personal feeling is it's just too late for him. I mean, beyond the fact that there may be enough players in the fold who are better than him or, of the same level as him, which is probably more correct, that they're just a lot of players kind of at that same level. I think the problem becomes, what is he, 28, 29 now? Great now, but realistically, when we're building for the future, I just don't see I don't see a lot of opportunities for him going forward.
He needed to make needed to make a bigger splash when given the chance.
Yeah.
And he didn't do it. He needed to dominate. What was that? He played a lot in the Gold Cup last year. And
well, not a lot, but yeah, some. I mean, at least in the opening rounds, I guess you'd say.
Right, but you're playing bad teams. You need to score goals against bad teams, and he wasn't doing it. I get it. He probably wasn't getting the best opportunities from out of the midfield, but at the same time, you're playing against bad teams. You need to be lighting it up against bad teams, and he wasn't doing it. And I don't even see him as a 20-minute a game sub when you're behind kind of thing. There's too many that can do the same thing that are younger.
I think my dog needs to go outside.
What about Christian Ramirez? I lost who said it. Giovanni, I think. Yeah.
Why not? He hasn't had a decent look yet that I know of. I give him a run out. At this point, you're running. If you got guys like that that can show they've got some talent, you run them out once or twice and see what they can do. Like they did with Dom Dwyer. Dom Dwyer didn't seize the opportunity. Christian Ramirez deserves a run out. I don't know if he can do anything.
To me, I'm not saying he won't get it, but to me, he's also kind of in that window of, is he still young enough that it matters? I mean, I guess so long as we don't necessarily have our striker of the future or forwards of the future, we're still looking. So what the hell? Everybody kind of has a shot, but I don't know.
He's 20. He's 27.
Yeah,
I mean, he just turned 27 this week. So I mean,
maybe that's not
maybe, but I think I give him a run out anyway and see what he can do at this point. He hasn't. I don't think had enough of a run out. Well, Dom Dwyer is the same. I guess it's the same age as Dom Dwyer. I guess we've seen Dom Dwyer.
Really? I was thinking Dom Dwyer was like a year or two older than that because I was thinking he was 28 last summer.
July 30th.
I'm wrong.
July 30th, 1990. So
okay.
No, I think the difference is we've seen what Dwyer can do against bad CONCACAF teams. And personally, I'm not impressed enough that I think he deserves another run out. I get it. Bruce Arena sucked as a coach this time around. Maybe a better coach helps him, but at this point, I'd rather almost see somebody who I haven't seen yet, and Christian Ramirez fits that. So,
guys,
I just think there are some younger guys coming in who have a shot. Potentially maybe have a higher ceiling, and their age fits better, and we could see them play longer, and then maybe build something with a team.
Can we
see some actual progression?
Can we set a rule going forward? Seeing I seem to keep seeing Freddie Adu show up in the chat box. Can we put the Freddie Adu rule in place? If you are older than Freddie Adu, you are automatically disqualified for the U.S. national team going forward.
We must know how old Freddie Adu is.
It says he's 28.
It says.
I think he's probably about 35. I think he's around the same age as Alfonso Soriano and, and those kind of guys.
Remember when that kid was in the Little League World Series and he was like 20, but they said he was 12 or 13 or whatever you have to be?
Yeah. That's Freddie Adu. I think Freddie Adu's older than the three of us are.
Do we give Landon Donovan a chance to play for the U.S. again, or what? I mean, could he do it? Sure. Should he? No, I don't think so. I mean,
okay, the trolling in the chat box, by the way, is absolutely outstanding at this point. Freddie Adu, Landon Donovan, and Wando.
It would be Wandonadu. The Wandonadu lineup.
Are we still doing a show?
Yes, I think we are. So, Pat, I think you get to read the propaganda, and then we'll call it a night.
Oh, the propaganda. We have social media. You can go to them. It's all USfanTV, the website and the Twitter and the everything. They're all USfanTV. So do that. And if you have not subscribed to this show on YouTube, you should do that because, it's what we do. We subscribe to things that we like, right? That's what we do. All right, TJ, do you have any final words?
I have absolutely no final words other than thanks for letting me join and as tired as I am. So thank you again.
Chris's final words are, they come via text. You guys aren't going to believe this. My iPad just died. That's what he said via text. That's why he's frozen at the bottom of the screen. So Chris says, you're done. And I say, you're done. We'll be back, I think, Tuesday night. See ya.